Being able to light a campfire is a really useful skill. Fire is really useful for all sorts of stuff, from cooking through to just roasting a marshmallow and sharing a story at the end of the day. There's a few important things you have to think about though before we get anywhere close to making flames. Firstly, check that the area you're going to light your fire is suitable. It should be flat, clear from anything that's going to burn, and also think about things like where would smoke blow to, and do you have enough firewood around to keep the fire going. The last important thing you have to think about is whether you're allowed to light a fire. Here at one of the Scout Activity Centres we've got designated fire pits, and it's a perfect place to practice fire lighting. Now we're going to look at some of the stuff we're going to need to get ready before we make flames. One of the first things we need to prepare is our firewood, the wood we're actually going to be burning. One of the mistakes people often make is not getting enough firewood or getting the wrong sizes. Keep in mind that prior preparation produces perfect performance. Loads and loads of wood means you've got loads and loads of stuff to practice with when you get to lighting the fire. We're going to split it into 3 piles in what's called a graded wood pile. So the first pile is stuff like this. It's about 1 matchstick thick. Remember that matchsticks burn because they're thin and because they're dry. So we've got the right thickness. Let's check if it's dry by seeing if it snaps, and it does. The next pile of stuff is a bit thicker, probably 2 or 3 matchsticks thick, and we want a good fist-sized handful of that. The third pile is stuff that's a bit thicker. It's stuff that's going to build up our fire so we can add on larger fuel and make it into a proper campfire. For today, we're just going to use stuff that's about the thickness of my thumb. There are a few different ways to actually go about lighting a fire. Today we're going to look at 2 of them. The first way is to use one of these. This is a flint and steel. A flint and steel is used to make sparks, which we can then light tinder. Tinder is anything that will create a flame from a spark. It's really simple to use. I'm just going to show you how it works. First of all, if you've just got this out of the packet, the key thing for you to do is to scrape off the paint which they put over the top. Otherwise you won't be able to make any sparks. Once you've done that, you can then think about how it actually works. So this section, the flint, is really soft. This steel section is hard, and as you scrape it over the top, little metal shavings will come off and they'll be so hot that they create actual sparks. So what we're trying to do is to scrape the top layer off the flint. The way to use it is to pinch each half between your thumb and finger, to place the flint side next to whatever it is you're going to light, to place the striker side above it, and then to draw the flint back across it. Remember, you're trying to scrape off the top layer. That should create some sparks. Now that we know how to make sparks, we need to think about how we use those to light something. Anything that lights from a spark is called tinder, and today we're just going to use cotton wool. Really important thing to remember is how the fire triangle works. If you don't know what the fire triangle is, it's a theory about how fire burns. So fire needs 3 things: heat, fuel and oxygen. The cotton wool is our fuel, the oxygen in the air is oxygen, and our sparks are going to create the heat. To make sure they all interact really well, we need to prepare our tinder. And to do that, we're going to fluff up our cotton wool so it's really big. A piece of cotton wool will go 10-15 times its size if you tease it out. Now that the cotton wool's already fluffed up and there's lots of air in it, we can put it down onto our base and use the flint to light it. To light it, we're going to use the flint and steel just like we did before, but we need to make sure that we pull our hands back out of the way really quickly so we don't get burnt fingers. The other thing we can use is a match. The best way to use a match is to pinch it between your thumb and 3rd finger, put your 2nd finger no closer to the head to support it so it doesn't snap, and then strike it along the face of the matchbox. As you do that, then cradle it to stop the match going out. We're now going to think about how to actually light a fire, and the key to that is building the right structure so the fire burns. To do that, we're going to make sure we've got a nice dry base to put stuff on. So here we've put down some bark, and then going to start to put together that wood pile, that graded wood pile, so it'll light really easily. The first thing I want to do is to grab my bundle of small kindling. I'm going to use the whole bundle together rather than individual pieces. That way, as one piece catches, the next piece will catch as a chain reaction. I'm going to take a large stick, place it on the side, and then lean the whole bundle over the top of that stick, but mostly sitting on top of that bark. Then what I need to do is get my tinder, which remember is my cotton wool. I'm going to fluff it up just like I did before, and I'm going to place it underneath that bundle of kindling. The reason we've put it on that stick is to stop the kindling squashing all the air outside or out of our cotton wool. You want to make sure that you can get the flint and steel in and light that tinder without knocking over all the kindling, and get your hands out of the way once it starts to burn. So make sure that the kindling sits just off to one side and the tinder's nice and accessible. Now that it's burning, we just need to leave that so the flames travel through that bundle of wood before we're ready to add on the next pile of kindling. When the flames start coming out the top, it's time to add more fuel. Grab the entire second bundle and lay it across the top at a slight angle, making sure to keep your hands out of the way of the flames. And again, let those flames travel through. And finally, to make sure it's properly burning, we're going to add our third bundle of sticks. Now that the fire's burning, we can keep adding bigger and bigger pieces of fuel, so we're ready to start cooking some marshmallows.
Give it a blow, give it a blow.